Welcome back to 3 Up, 3 Downs, National League East Division Breakdown. We just wrapped up with the Atlanta Braves, the division winners. Let's move on to the second place finishers who lost in the tiebreak for that NL East division crown, the New York Mets. What did the New York Mets do this offseason? They spent money. It's plain and simple. After Steve Cohen took over the roles as the owner of this team, he has showed he's not afraid to spend. So who'd they bring in? They brought in American League Cy Young winner Justin Verlander. They signed international superstar Japan's Kodai Senga. They brought in relief pitcher David Robertson, Danny Mendick, Jose Quintana, and a few others. But let's take a look at this lineup. Leading off, Brandon Nimmo, re-signed in the offseason. Starling Marte, brought in a few seasons ago, followed by the star, the 29-year-old. At this point, it's actually kind of shocking. He's 29. Francisco Lindor, followed by the polar bear, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Daniel Vogelbach, Mark Canha, Eduardo Escobar, and behind the plate, Omar Narvaez. The bench, Thomas Nido, Darren Ruff, Luis Gilmore, and Tommy Pham. Alex, let's start off with you. What do you think of this lineup and the bench?
Yeah, so I really like this lineup, and I think they added some pop last year in Vogelbach, which I think was a good move. I like Narvaez, good pickup, just a solid hitting catcher. He's patient at the plate, kind of does what you want out of a catcher. I think it was a huge move bringing Nimmo back. It's a move that only a few teams can do when they have so much money tied up to bring back Nimmo, who is a good player, but he's not the star of your team. And I know Mets fans like him. Some people will be...
No, he's going to hit for high average, but...
I know, but some people will be upset that I don't call him the star of the team because he is a very good player, and I get that. But he is back. It's a really good lineup. They are a little bit older, so when we look at the Braves and it's a bunch of 25 and 28-year-olds, this is a bunch of 30-year-olds, which isn't bad. These are still prime years. In baseball, you can have a long career. I love it. I think Pete Alonso's in store for a big year. Lindor, I think, will have a fantastic year. And then Marte and Nimmo, we talked about the running, and they are both mobile players, and they're both savvy players. I think they're going to probably be able to steal more bases by finessing the pitch clock system a little bit more. Yeah. Good players and savvy players are going to be able to, their speed is going to play more because of it takes craftiness, and I believe that both those guys will be able to do it. It's a really well-rounded lineup, a lot of average. Could probably use some more pop, but again, I think without the shift, with the stolen base rules, the speed might play a little bit more than power has. I think we might see a little pushback. Yeah. So the lineup's loaded. I mean, this is a favorite for the World Series, one of them, and the lineup's a big reason why. So. Really good lineup. Could use some more power still. I know Vogelbach helps, and Ruff is the good platoon for Vogelbach. So that platoon at DH will play a lot better than the players are. Doing a little money ball right there, combining two into one. But they're going to be good. I mean, they both mash the opposite hand, so it's perfect.
Yeah, no, I think you look at the front of this lineup, it's a lot of protection, especially with Nimmo and Marte. It's two guys you can kind of rely on to get on base and then send up Lindor and Pete Alonso to drive them in. So that's where you're going to really see, I feel like, the huge run scoring from this lineup. There is some depth within Eduardo Escobar and Omar Narvaez towards the back end. So I think that is a pretty balanced lineup throughout. Let's take a look at the rotation in the bullpen. And we got to start off, unfortunately, after such an exciting group play of baseball at the World Baseball Classic. Fun, exciting stuff. Puerto Rico upsets, dominates in a pitching and hitting expose from the Puerto Ricans. They beat the DR. They send them home. And the fact is, everyone's excited. Everyone's happy, celebrating. Who's on the mound? No other than Mets superstar Edwin Diaz, their closer. He closes them out. Quick, easy inning from Diaz. The celebration starts. What happens? Unfortunately, in the dog pile, Edwin Diaz comes down and tears his patellar tendon in his knee, and unfortunately will miss the 2023 MLB baseball season. Big loss for this Mets team, had to be noted. We will cover it a little bit more when we talk about the bullpen, but let's talk about this exciting rotation led off by, like I said, the AL Cy Young winner Justin Verlander, followed by another ageless wonder in Max Scherzer, brought in the Japanese superstar Kodai Senga, followed by Carlos Carrasco, David Peterson. Peterson's role, I do expect that to be limited, as they do expect Jose Quintana to step in at least at the 4 or 5. Maybe Carrasco can find himself on the long pitching role in the bullpen, but it is a very, very solid rotation. Alex, what do you got?
Yeah, so first off, Verlander and Scherzer's one of the coolest 1-2 punches. I'm glad they got reunited after being together back in Detroit.
Well, we remember.
And now, like 10 years later, they're back together and still as good, which is
Still
just
elite.
I mean, it's just shocking. 2 fiery competitors. I think Scherzer gets a little bit more credit because he looks like a psycho at times. Well, a lot of the time.
Right.
And where Verlander's a little bit more stoic, but both, I mean, just incredible hurlers of the ball. I mean, probably 2 of the best humans to ever throw things in life. I mean, they got arms for days, and they don't age somehow. So that's awesome. I think it'll be an exciting storyline to just see them 2 go 1-2. It'll be fun. Kodai Senga, I would love to talk about here because I love Kodai Senga. When I first saw that he was a free agent and I was reading up just to get a little sense of what he was as a player, something jumped off the page, and that's that one of his pitches. Not only does he have a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, he's got something called a ghost forkball, which I like. That just intrigues me. I've heard of forkballs. I've heard of forkballs, and other pitches. I've never heard of a ghost forkball. And to me, I was like, oh shit, this guy's going to be good. I look it up. I mean, the highlight video of his ghost forkball, he must have had, like, in the first 5 minutes of video, he has like 15 people swinging at pitches that bounce before the plate.
Yeah.
This thing just drops off a cliff. It's like the most powerful magnet is just pulling this thing down. It's insane, and it lives up to the name. I don't know how well it will translate into the MLB, but if he can throw that thing anywhere near what he was throwing in Japan, slightly different ball, but still I expect it to translate. It's going to be exciting to watch, and I really hope for a big year from him because I think he'll be a very cool pitcher to watch. He'll be unique and just throw stuff that nobody else has. Nobody else has a ghost forkball.
No.
Maybe in history. I don't know. But I'm very excited about him. Carrasco and Peterson, great 4-5s. So I think that will be a good 4-5. Quintana's good depth. We'll see how that shuffles out. And then a guy who's slotted for the pen right now, but might also be called up if injuries do happen, Eliezer Hernandez from the Marlins. He started a lot for them, but they're probably looking at him as like the long relief role right now. Maybe they just transition him to a reliever and hope to get a little bit more out of his stuff. But it's a loaded rotation with a lot of depth. We already know who the replacements are if somebody goes down, which is a great luxury to have.
Yeah, no, so I completely agree with you. Let's take a look at that bullpen that Alex was hinting at. Obviously, with Edwin Diaz down, they did bring in a David Robertson, a guy that was closing ball games for the Cubs when he was healthy. They did bring in an Adam Tovino and some others. There are some guys on the market still in the relief pitching world, so the Mets have some options there. But losing Diaz is definitely a huge hurt. What do you got on this bullpen?
Yeah, I mean, there's a massive hole. You lose one of the best closers in baseball, there's always going to be a hole. And where I am a little concerned now is David Robertson's 37.
Yep.
Or 38. He's going to be 38. Ottavino's 37. Brooks Raley, another guy they brought in, 35. They're guys who have been good, but at that age, you start to ask a little bit more questions. And you don't like that those are your guys. Like, you don't want David Robertson as your closer if you're a contending team. And that's no disrespect to David Robertson at this point in his career. He's been a great closer, and he's had a great resurgence. I'm concerned about the bullpen. One guy to look out for, who unfortunately is also down with an injury right now after an electric spring training, Bryce Montes de Oca. What a name. This guy throws electric gas. I mean, it's just like
triple digits,
and it like reminds me of like kind of like a Dylan Betances type guy, a guy who you could see being that elite number one, like top 5 closer in the league, because the stuff is just off the charts. But he's injured right now. I think he's gonna have a huge role when he comes back because this bullpen lacks talent right now. And it's not that it's bad. I mean, there's a lot of good relievers in here. You just are missing that one shutdown, true elite back end guy who seemingly most of these other teams have.
Well, and it's with a guy that has some powerful stuff, it's a lot of pressure to put on someone who's young like Deoka is. But maybe he steps into that closer role that has been kind of filled by committee now that Diaz is out. But we'll see what happens with this New York Mets team. Who, and I already have a feeling I know who it is, but who's your X factor for the Mets?
Yeah, so I hinted at it, and I'm not going to stray away from it. Montes de Oca is my X factor, and it's kind of a double whammy here because first off, he's injured, and They don't think it's too bad, but he's shut down for a little bit. When he's with young players, they're typically shut down a little longer, and then he's going to have to revamp. There's no concern over like the stuff being different. It's not that serious of an injury, but it's something to be cautious about. But the big X factor is when he does come back, what is he providing in the MLB? You know, seeing it in spring training, seeing the stuff is great, but it's a different thing to come out and produce.
Yep.
I think if this Mets team is going to be good, it's either going to have to come for a trade for an elite reliever, which that's a question mark. You know, you can't guarantee you're going to get one of those guys, or this guy's going to have to step up.
Yeah.
And he has the stuff to step up. I mean, when you have it, you have it. But whether that comes through and whether he's healthy are big questions for this team. And I think from a position where he was kind of thought of as a piece that could potentially be doing something and push them over the edge, he's a little bit more critical of a piece now.
Yep, no, without a doubt. I like the pick. I think a lot of pressure to put on the youngin, but I like it. I like it. So, who is my X factor for this team? My X factor is the New York Mets infield. I'm putting the pressure on Lindor. I'm putting the pressure on O'Neill. I'm putting the pressure on Alonso. I'm putting the pressure on Escobar. The fact is, these guys need to produce for this Mets team. When you have Lindor and Alonso at the 4-5 or 3-4, and then follow up with Jeff McNeil, you need them to produce. So I'm putting the pressure, the X factor, on this New York Mets infield.
I like it. I got to say, Jeff McNeil is on my hate list now, not because of who he is as a person or how good he is as a player.
Classic.
I just have to say he's the most overrated player in baseball. He was ranked as like a top 50 player by the MLB, and that's shocking to me. There were a lot of
50th
ranked player. I mean, but he's not the 50th ranked player. I get he's a good player, but like, yeah, it makes me a little bit triggered. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep. No, I agree with you.
No disrespect. I know he's a good player and probably a nice guy, but
that's why the pressure's on.
Overrated.
The pressure's on the infield for the New York Mets. Let's look at our projections, our predictions for this team. I've got them finishing second in a dogfight with the Braves. I think losing Diaz, a little bit of uncertainty coming out of the bullpen. Obviously, you've got great starting pitching, but can you close out the games? And I think that might be the downfall for this Mets team. I still see him in the playoffs. I still see him as a World Series contender, but just not a division winner.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with them finishing third.
Wow.
I think the Diaz loss is big, and there's 3 power horses in this division, and I don't like the bullpen. It's not bad. There's higher standards for a team this good.
Yeah.
I think the lineup could be electric, probably will be, but I have worries about the bullpen.
Mm-hmm. And as long as the NL Central continues to really send one team to the playoffs, maybe the Cubs end up grabbing a wild card spot. But the fact is, you've got a very competitive NL West. You've got a very competitive NL East. Both divisions looking to send 3 teams potentially to the to the playoffs. We'll find out. That concludes our New York Mets breakdown. If you feel like we've missed anything, if you feel like you've got an X factor that we didn't pick, shoot it in the comments. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Check out all our Star 6 Media content. We appreciate you guys tuning into our Mets breakdown. We've got the Philadelphia Phillies up next for you.